Welcome to Face to Face. I'm your host, Kelly McIntyre, and I am face to face with Martin Capper, running in Ward 1. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kelly.
Now, maybe if you could take the viewers and tell us why you're running and a little bit about your platform.
Right. I retired about a year and a half ago, March of last year, as CEO of a Mississauga-based company. And I'd been involved in Milton politics, in talking to council over the years, particularly with reference to the Derry Green Corporate Park, which is where I happen to live. And in a discussion with the councillor then, I asked him what type of businesses that they were trying to attract to the new industrial areas. And his response, and bearing in mind this was 3 to 4 years ago, his response was automotive parts businesses. Well, I happen to know that industry, and I know it's not a very long-term industry as we've seen over recent years. And I've always been interested in politics since the early 70s. In my early 20s in Northern Ireland, I was an early member of the Alliance Party. So I decided that I had the relevant experience. I'd managed growth in the business, and I felt I could bring that business experience to the business of the town for the benefit of the community. I really felt I could make a difference, and that's what provoked me into running.
Well, I've got to ask you, what are the top 3 accomplishments we can expect from your term in office if you're elected?
Well, I realize that as a councillor, you have to operate as part of a team. No one person can do everything on their own. So I would expect to be a member of the team that is council. I would want to focus on ensuring that there's proper financial management. I think there's a lot of focus on taxes. But really, taxes flow from council town spending and revenue. And if you focus on revenue and spending, taxes will be kept to the lowest possible. So that's certainly one of my prime objectives. Secondly is managing growth. As I mentioned, I was CEO of a technology company in Mississauga. When I started as CEO, the budget of that company was roughly where Milton's budget is today. When I left, it had grown by 3 times. So I have the experience in managing the type of growth that Milton's going to see, albeit in the private sector. But managing spending should be similar in the public sector as in the private sector. And the third thing that I think that's important is growth is not only going to bring a strain on the finances of the town, it's going to bring a strain on the infrastructure and the facilities that are available. We've already seen traffic congestion, particularly at the James Snow and Main intersection at peak traffic times. It's also going to bring strain on the hospital. The expansion of the hospital is, my youngest grandchild was born there just over a year ago, and it's near and dear to my heart. And finally, it's going to bring strain to the finances. So those are the 3 issues that I believe I can help make a difference to.
Well, you know what, Martin, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Face to Face in just a moment. Welcome back to Face to Face. I'm Kelly McIntyre, and I'm face to face with Martin Capper, running in Ward 1. Now, Martin, before we went to break, we just touched a little bit upon the hospital and this expansion. Maybe we could, touch that conversation again. How is that near and dear to your platform and what you could bring to that?
Well, I think there are two aspects to the hospital expansion that are important. First of all, there's the funding of the township, and we've all heard the discussions at council meetings. In fact, I've spoken at council meetings on this, where it's estimated that an additional tax levy of 7% could be necessary to fund the town's portion of it. So that's the one aspect. The second aspect is ensuring that Milton and the expansion of Milton District Hospital is a priority on our provincial politicians, and not just the governing party, but because there will be an election in the near future, the two opposition parties. So advocating for that expansion, I believe Council has done a good job in getting the problem to the eyes of all the appropriate ministers in provincial government, and that needs to be kept up. In terms of the funding, once again, it comes back to controlling the spending and the spending of the town as a whole. At the last council meeting, a comment was made that by one of the councillors, that we haven't really looked into the budget of the town over the last 10 years, into the detail of the budget. That to me is totally unacceptable. I applaud the councillor for being honest about it, but it's unacceptable that the council as a whole has not gone into the detail. My company was owned by private equity through the last financial crisis that we may or may not be coming out of. And we had to cut our costs. And I'm confident that if applying techniques like zero-based budgeting and cost reduction exercises, that we should be able to cut a significant portion of the town spending without impacting the services they deliver. And we should do that to generate the funds for the hospital expansion. We should not be looking to the taxpayer. Secondly, we should be looking at ways of generating new revenue streams for the town. Examples like having a lottery for Milton District Hospital, working with all the partners in Milton District to find ways in which we can generate new revenue streams, and not just with Milton District, but with other town facilities as well.
Now, if you had your running mates from Ward 1 in front of you, what question would you ask them?
I would ask them where they stand and what experience they have in managing the growth of an enterprise, whether it be a town or a business. I'd ask them where they stand on the expansion of the hospital, and I'd ask them how experienced they are in achieving consensus among opposing opinions, because I believe that's important, achieving consensus so that you can move forward and actually implement plans rather than just talk about it.
Well, Martin, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Face-to-Face in just a moment. Welcome back to Face-to-Face. I'm Face-to-Face with Martin Capper, running in Ward 1, and I've got a quick question for you off the top. What would you say your biggest accomplishment in business to date is?
My biggest accomplishment in business? Well, I've retired. I think my biggest accomplishment was against the threat of competition from low-cost countries. I was able to maintain both design and production of the product we made in Canada. I was able to compete effectively through techniques like lean manufacturing with low-cost country competition and preserve jobs in Canada.
Maybe tell us something we don't know about Martin Capper.
Well, my website pretty much says it all. I'm 59 years old. I'm a chartered accountant. And as I said, I retired March of last year. I have wife, 3 sons, one of whom lives in Milton, and I've got 4 1/3 grandchildren. And I'm an avid golfer. I say avid rather than good.
Now, you know what? In closing, my last question to you, you hear so much about new and old Milton. Should we, in fact, have one Milton, just sharing the richness of the new and the historical values, or how do you feel about that?
I think there is only one community, and I guess I live in an area that people think of as Old Milton, but when it becomes part of the Dairy Green Corporate Park, it's going to be New Milton. We're one community, and that's what I believe, and that's what I would work towards maintaining. I think we've got tremendous community spirit, both in the older areas of town and the newer. Old and new tends to point to old residents and new residents. My son, for example, lives on Roberts and Bronte. He's often the age of the people that are moving into Hawthorne Village, but he chose to buy an older house. Does that make him old or new Milton?
Good point. Martin Capper, it was great having a chat with you. And again, running in Ward 1.
Thanks
for
you,
coming
Kelly.
in and for a little face-to-face. Maybe tell everybody that website again if they want to get more
It's
information.
cappercares.ca, cappercares.ca.
Great chatting with you. Kelly McIntyre, face-to-face.